walk us through the first moment where the possibility of purchasing an NBA team, specifically the Clippers. Talk about how the story on how that happened and what was going on in your mind at that time.
Can I give you a little bit of history before that about buying a basketball team? Paul Allen, my buddy from Microsoft, he buys the Trail Blazers in the late 80s. And Steve, this is fun. Steve, you got to do it. You got to buy a team. Come on, Steve. You love this, Steve. And, it's not like Paul was an athlete either. So you get two guys who basically never made a basketball team. And at the time, I got a full-time job. I got young kids. I'm figuring, I owe it to everybody at Microsoft to really stay focused. So I stay focused. The Sonics come up for sale. And then the proposition comes, they sell to Oklahoma City eventually. And I'm saying, I don't want to buy, I'm still having my job. Mm-hmm. But then, it's real. They might leave town. Can we help build an arena that keeps, the Sonics in Seattle? And it was too little, too late. The guys at OKC, kind of had made they had tried. Mm-hmm. Clay Bennett, who, the governor at OKC. Chairman. He calls himself governor. The governor down there had said, hey, look, I tried to keep the thing in Seattle. They move it. So, I'm out. Then about, I don't know, it must have been 2013. I'm still, running Microsoft, and the Kings come up for sale. And there's a Seattle guy who, they don't come up for sale. There's a guy from Seattle who lives in San Francisco, but he wants a team back in Seattle. So he talks to the guys who own, at the time, the Kings, the Maloof brothers, into selling the team. And we're going to move them to Seattle. We're going to move them to Seattle. The problem is the league doesn't want to move them to Seattle. We're going to move them to Seattle. And they accept our bid. And we go to the league, and, there's another group locally who wants to keep them in Sacramento. And the commissioner basically says, hey, you can buy the team if you want to, but you're keeping them in Sacramento. And I'm working, and, so I say something I probably shouldn't say. You think I'm going to fly to Sacramento, California for a game? I'm not doing it. He said, then you shouldn't buy the Kings. So this is while I'm working. So then I retire at early 14. And first thing I do, literally within 2 weeks of my last day at Microsoft, I fly to New York to meet with Adam Silver, who's taken over now for David Stern, and with Roger Goodell. Because I was also a football team manager in college, too. I like football. Mm-hmm. I don't follow it anymore the same way I used to. But anyway, I say, hey, I want to buy a team and bring it to Seattle. And Adam says, well, we don't want teams to move anymore. We saw what happened when Seattle moved. We really want these teams to stay. But the Milwaukee Bucks are up for sale. And so I fly to Milwaukee. I don't tell anybody. I fly to Milwaukee for one of their last games of the year, this 2013 season. I drive all around the city. What would it be like? I go to the game, and let's just say there was a guy with a Greek last name, and I'd never heard of it. This is 2013, yeah. So Giannis is still really, what the heck? So who are these people on this team?
Yeah.
Actually, they had good players there. Right. But they were having a crappy year. It was a game in April. You know what a game in April's like for a crappy team. I'd love to tell you those are the best games, but I can't tell this crowd that stuff. Anyway, and then I called the owner. The owner said, we're not interested in talking to you. We're late. It was nice about it. So, all right, that doesn't work. And biding my time, and then the Sterling thing comes out. And my middle son, who was in college at the time, he says, Dad, you got to get on this. This thing is going to sell. Oh, you're probably right. Mm-hmm. You're probably right. And I like L.A.
Yeah.
I like L.A. I'm retired. The notion of getting out of Seattle when it's, sort of rainy and gray and coming to L.A. in the wintertime, that's appealing. Mm-hmm. We jump on it. Let's go. And I had some, friends, et cetera, kind of helping me figure it out. The problem is, we don't know who to buy the team from. Who's selling the team? How do you get in touch with the Sterlings? I mean, what the heck? So we had kind of a month of running around, chasing, trying to figure out how to get in contact. There was no agent selling the thing at the time. It was quite an experience. I will tell you that.
Got it.
Sorry, I'm going long on you guys.
No, you're doing good.
That's perfect. We love the background and everything leading up to
and the energy
events.
with it.
I will tell you one thing about buying the Clippers. So I figure out a way to meet Shelley Sterling. Donald's out of the picture, and she's running the show. And I get her on the phone. I'm at one of my son's AAU tournaments. I get her on the phone on a Sunday morning. A mutual friend, a guy who'd sat next to her at Clipper games, introduces us. And I said, I'd like to say to him. She says, well, just tell me how much you want to pay. This is like on the phone. I said, well, really, I'd like to come see you, though, first. So finally she says, okay, come down. You come down, tell us what you're willing to pay. So I'm figuring, like, I got to impress this woman. I got to impress her. How do I impress her? I got to know who the best players were in Clipper history.
So you did a little research.
Yeah, who do you think the best? I mean, back then, this is back then. Best, not retired, not active, because CP and Blake and stuff were there.
Best Clipper?
Best Clipper.
Took a while to figure out.
Yeah, who do you think? Who would you write down?
You
Best Clipper history.
The best
I'm going to say Bill Walton.
That's a good one, but he came to the Clippers' end of his career.
Okay, so not prime Bill.
See, that's the problem.
That is tough.
It was tough.
Can't put a face
and I
to
didn't
it.
want to go back to Buffalo and say, Bob McAdoo or Randy Smith, because people won't think of them as Clippers, the Sterlings. Finally, I decided Elton Brand. It was either going to be Elton Brand. Danny Manning got hurt too early.
Yeah.
So I figured, okay, it's Elton Brand. So I'm thinking, okay, am I going to mention this to show like I give a little Clipper love? And we go into the house. We're going through the garage. And I see an Elton Brand jersey hanging. I'm like, ooh, I got it right. That's off the puzzle. Drop his name. Come on, drop his name. Anyway, just part of the process.
Yeah. So after this meeting with Mr. Sterling, after that meeting where you like, all right, I feel good about this. I gotta do this.
No. Well, I knew I got to do it.
Yeah.
Teams don't come up. It's an LA team.
Yeah.
I'd mentioned to Adam when I went to see him, hey, what about the LA teams? Because they're close enough to my house, and because I live in Seattle and all that, and my wife's never moving. He said, oh, those teams will never sell. And then, of course, the whole thing happens here. So I was all in. I was all in. But then it got in the bid process. And I was still all in, but we were in the bid process. And I just said, I'm going to get this team. And people thought I way overpaid.
Yeah.
But I got the team.
You got the team.
I probably paid 10% more. Maybe that
Easy
I promised my wife one thing. She said, just don't embarrass me. Don't like slather money on top of this thing where people say, oh, he just like waltzed in and Mr. Big. So I was
You have
glad.
to walk in there
probably
like this.
How wifey feel now?
She's glad I have a hobby. She's happy to come to some games. I mean, of all sports, our kids all play well, that's not true. My oldest son played high school basketball and some AAU. My middle son was the basketball team manager in high school, and my youngest son played a lot of AAU and high school basketball.
Got it.
Look, the NBA season is done, but that doesn't mean that Prize Picks is. Jackie, what's the next sport that's making you some money?
WNBA, baby. You know I'm coming up big thanks to our girl, Asia Wilson, because she was on our show. She been putting up big numbers for me. You know how she do, Dallas, but people don't know what we talking about. Let them know what we talking about.
So Prize Picks is a daily fantasy app. You pick 2 to 6 players like the video on your screen, then pick if they will have more or less than their Prize Picks projection. You aren't competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available.
I know how much I want. I always do, but let the people know how much they can win at Prize Picks, man.
You can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. And on top of that, all first-time users that deposit and use our promo code PODCASTP will receive 100% instant deposit match up to $100.
That means if you deposit $20, Prize Picks will give you $20. If you deposit $100, Prize Picks will give you $100. And at the end of the day, you already know what it is. Cha-ching!